welcome. Little different than our normal time, but I wanted to come live for you all. I am going to be coming live every day this week in honor of the open enrollment of my Fearless Branding Formula. The Fearless Branding Formula is my personal branding and mindset program specifically designed to help you, a woman of color, land a six-figure promotion and increase your salary by $20,000 to $50,000 in 90 days, regardless of the job market, politics, president, all that stuff. And you're going to do this by mastering your personal brand. So, in honor of that, every day this week, I'm coming to you all live with topics specifically to help you do that, to help you land a six-figure promotion, to help you boost your confidence, to help you build your brand. Because when women of color win, the world wins. All right. So if you are new to my channel, new to my network, welcome. Hey, I am Latrice, career and leadership coach to ambitious women of color, and it is my mission and movement to put more women of color in positions of power. I am moved and I am on a mission to help more women of color reach six figures and beyond using their personal brand, because personal branding is the fastest and easiest way to increase your income and advancing your career. In saying that, we got a hot topic tonight. Tonight, we're talking about leaving a toxic work environment and still making six figures. This has come up with so many of my clients. This has come up with so many people that I have talked to who are in these toxic environments or recently left a toxic environment and has this feeling like I now need to take less. Like it's no way I can make six figures. And really what has happened is that toxic environment has now seeped into your confidence and your worth and your value, and you think you don't deserve and can't get six figures, and it's completely not true. So wanted to just start there. Completely not true. We are shattering that. So if you are watching this and you know another woman of color or someone in your network who needs to see this, share this out, tag them in the comments. This is going to be fire. If you're like, hey, they like Latrice, if you're catching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. All my live people, give me hashtag live. I love to see who's who's out here, and let me know where you all are watching from. I always get people from like all over the world and all over the US, so I am amazed. But this is a hot topic because I don't think anyone needs to stay in a toxic environment, and I don't want you staying in a toxic environment thinking that this is the only way you can make money, because it is simply not true. In fact, you will make more money faster and you will get praised more and you will feel better when you leave that environment and you are in a healthy environment. You will make more money in a healthy environment because that new environment, that new company, that new role now values you. Now values what you have to offer, values your position, listen to your voice. They hear you, they see you, they value you. All right. So y'all, we y'all know how I'm doing. It's gonna be fire today. It's gonna be fire. So if you all have any comments, any questions, start putting them in the comments. Y'all know I love us being interactive. And we're gonna get started. One other thing before we get started, if you all are watching these lives and you're loving them, I definitely am going to invite you to join the Fearless Branding Formula. You can either enroll directly or book a call with me or have me DM you and we can chat that way. But go to sixfigurepromotions.com. You can read all about my program, how I help you, how quickly you can get results, what it looks like, how other women of color have gotten results. And I'm so excited for this. If you all have been following me for a while, you know I love sharing testimonials and client stories. Well, on Thursday, I'm doing a client panel with, I want to say it's going to be like 5 or 6 of my clients. It is going to be via Zoom, to keep it a little more private so we can have some honest, safe conversations. If you're interested in getting that Zoom link, you can put in the comments or just DM me, yes, YES, and we'll send you that link. So Thursday at 7 p.m., you get the Zoom link. You can actually ask my clients questions, what it's like to work with me, how did they get their results, how much did they increase their salary, how long it took them, all these things that are on your mind, you can speak directly to them. I'm so excited about that. All right. as we're going in. All right, so yo, we just gonna start it. I got my notes here. I'm just snatching edges. I'm coming in. I'm coming in hot today. My first tip to leave a toxic environment and still make six figures. You need to know when you're in an abusive relationship with your boss. Some of y'all are in abusive relationships with your boss. Let me explain. I've seen it time and time again where you think, oh no, I can't do any better. But they toxic, your boss is treating you bad. And then next week, when after you done looked for a job and now you're not speaking to them, they come in, and this could be a male or a female. They come in, they speak in, maybe they even bring in donuts. Now they're extra polite. This is abusive. This is abusive. I've had clients tell me their bosses have said terrible things to them. I'm like, why are you still there? They're like, I don't know if I can find anything better. I'm making a decent salary. Y'all, I know people making $300,000, $400,000 roles and they're not in a toxic situation. But then I see my clients and I see other women come to me making 60, 70, $80,000. You're in a toxic, abusive relationship with your boss and you think you can't make any more money. It's just simply not true. It is what has been happening when someone gaslights you, when you're doing two, three, four jobs and they make you feel like you're not doing enough, when you've been doing multiple work, multiple roles, other people's work, and they make you beg for an increase. But they also know that you can't leave because they're not the best thing that happened to you. You are the best thing that has happened to them. And they're getting you on a discount. And they're getting you on a discount. So you have to know when you are in an abusive relationship with your boss. I was sharing this with someone today and I was like, hey, have y'all ever seen someone who was actually in an abusive relationship and they would keep going back, that they have an incident, the person would be all nice and they keep coming back. And then they'll be like, but no one's going to love me like he loves me. But look, he's changing. It's different. You see it. And you see these relationships happening with people and their bosses or their employers. And you have to remove yourself from that. You have to remove yourself to see that you're worthy, to see that you can earn more, that you deserve more. You have to remove yourself. And when sometimes people are like, but Latrice, I've tried. I'm always like, you have to try in a different state of mind. If you're trying to leave a toxic environment in a toxic environment, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. So that brings me to my step number 2, which is you need to learn how to overcome workforce trauma. Some of you all are and have experienced trauma in the workplace, especially as a woman of color. And once we've experienced that trauma, even removing yourself from the environment does not heal the trauma. And you're in trauma when you speak about it, you go back to it like it was yesterday, and in reality it might have been 5 years. Right? When you're in a different environment, but yet it still elicits emotions, you can feel it, and it's like you're almost back there. I've seen people even suffer from like some version of like a complex PTSD from the workplace. Like workplace trauma is real and you have to actively work on overcoming it. And this is something that we specialize in because I work with women of color. And from what I can tell, women of color suffer the most trauma in the workplace. We suffer the most trauma to the point that we think, is this normal? Should I just not say anything? And it is not normal. Everyone does not experience it, and you do not deserve it, but you do need to overcome it. When you don't overcome and actively work on healing from that workplace trauma, when you remove yourself from that situation and you get in something different or better, now you're always suspicious. Now you're looking for issues and problems that may not even be there. Right? Oh, I've seen people like stay unemployed and stay in, I call it a loop. You're in a mindset loop. Just keep thinking like, I don't want to look for another job because what if it's going to be just like this one? And I think that's a red flag. They ask me, when am I going to lunch? Like, I think that's a red flag. When in reality, it's just normal things, but because you're still suffering and in this workplace trauma mindset, it is hard for you to see that you're safe now. And this can hold you back from earning the money you deserve. It can hold you back from going after those higher level roles. Because sometimes we think, well, the more money I make, the more hours I need to work. And that's simply not true. So you have to actively work on overcoming workplace trauma, and I highly recommend working with a coach and or a therapist who specialize in this, so you can so it can make a difference. You will see the way you show up is different. The way you go into the interviews, the stories you tell, the accomplishments and achievements that you put on your resume will be different. There will be some tangible results. There will be a physical difference when you overcome workplace trauma. Okay. And you should see the difference in not just your confidence, but in your paycheck. But in your paycheck. Okay. And so let me share this. So that's number two. All right. We're going to overcome this workplace trauma. Here's my next tip. Number three. And this is, I'm just going to say a state of mind too. Um, you think that this is the best you can get. This is also a sign of a toxic environment when people make you think you can't do any better. It's also the sign that you're in an abusive situation. Like, you're not going to do any better than this. I literally have people messaging me like, Latrice, I'm making 90, 100,000, but you know what? I'm in this toxic environment, but I don't think I can go anywhere else because I won't make as much. No, nobody ever. I even somebody was like, nobody ever makes as much as this. Like nobody ever in the world in America has made six figures in this role. I've seen janitors, maintenance people, and plumbers making six figures. So you mean to tell me that you, with a degree, a master's degree, right? like this is the height of it. No one will ever make more. No, that toxic environment makes you feel that way. So you have to know and you have to believe and tell yourself, no, it is possible for me to make more. Let me tell you all something. If you're making $80,000, you have not reached the max in your industry or in your role. And I have people tell me that all the time. And I know this is coming from being in a toxic work environment and just a limiting belief. So they're like, I'm good, I'm good. I like where I'm at. I'm like, you like where, if you like where you at, why are you talking to me telling me you want more then? They're like, I want more, but I feel like I can't get it. It's like, this is because you're in a toxic environment. You're in a toxic environment. So it's making you feel like you can never do better, but that's not true. In fact, I want to say 90%, 99% of my 90 to 99% of my clients, when they leave that toxic environment and they work on healing that trauma, they make more money, way more money, way more money. The only time they don't is when they actually haven't healed the trauma, when they're not working on it with, and then in that case, they're like, I'm just going to take anything to get out of this role. And that's not the solution either, because then when they say you could go from like the oven, the frying pan to the oven or something like that, like you're going into the same environment, just a different employer. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that we know we can do better, because you can make six figures in any environment, even in roles where, even in male dominated industries. I get this a lot. What if I'm in a male dominated industry? Even better. As a female, you can definitely make six figures in a male dominated industry. This is where some of my tips, they're going to be overlapping. This is where you got to build your brand. You should be building your brand internally and externally, right? But yes, even being in a male dominated industry, you can make six figures. Even being in a nonprofit, let me tell you all, nonprofits pay. I worked for nonprofits. You can make six figures in a nonprofit. You can make 200K in a nonprofit. You can make 300K, especially now with some of these hospital systems that are huge, taking over whole cities, but they're registered nonprofits, right? But those, they have some huge salaries there. So you can make six figures. You can do better. You can make multiple six figures. But you have to know it. You have to believe it, that just because you're in this environment now and you're making close to six figures or a little bit more, doesn't mean you can't make more and do better. I had a client, she was in a toxic environment. She knew it was toxic. She was like, they're overworking her. And she was in retail. She's like, they're overworking her. It was far from where she lived. They didn't value her. Her boss was disrespectful. Her employees were her employees weren't the best either. She was really, really working on. She spent a lot of her time like really just getting her employees up to par. And it was just a toxic situation, but she was already making six figures. But she was making six figures, but miserable. And she was scared to make a move because she felt like, I can't make more. And she was like, I can't risk going somewhere else, being in the same type of environment and making less. And I was like, one, why would you make less? Two, why do you think you're going to go in the same type of environment? And this is going to, my tips are going to overlap because this is where I'm going to talk about you need to recognize your value and you need to learn a new skill set of now recognizing red flags for these companies. So you do not get back in another toxic environment. But if you don't know your value, if you devalue yourself, if you're applying to roles where you're making less, if you let someone convince you that you should leave your company and go into a role and make less money, you see already they're toxic. But there are great companies out there who will pay you what you're worth, pay you your value, and you can make more money. That's exactly what she did. And in fact, this was another company that had previously declined her. This is how we know it is her branding and her mindset because she overcame that being in that toxic environment. She knew she could still make more money. And she did. She actually increased her salary $30,000. So she was already making six figures. She got a $30,000 increase. That was her base and a bonus. And she got a sign on bonus. And she was able to work hybrid and she was pivoting industries. This is the power of knowing your brand, and this is the power of that mindset when you overcome workplace trauma. When you know this isn't right, I still have value and I have to work on building myself back up and building my confidence back up. This is what you got to do. All right. Let me know. Have you all ever been in a toxic environment? I have. Like, have you ever been in a toxic environment? Are you in a toxic environment now? Let me know. What are your thoughts when I say you can leave a toxic environment and still make six figures? Seriously, think about what comes up for you. If you like, Latrice, that's not true, then you know you got some work to do. You know you have some work to do. And that mindset and that thought process is limiting you. Because I've given you all example after example. You can read my testimonials because a lot of my clients do come from toxic work environments and they still want to make six figures. They still want to be in a work environment that values them, where they can thrive and make an impact. And that is possible for you too. It's possible for you too. Okay. And then my last tip, well, I got really quickly two more. So knowing your value, love this. And here's a practical tip. I always recommend that you do 25 reasons why. So if you want to go to the next level, if you're making 90,000 but you want to make six figures and beyond, you want to make 120, 150, I recommend coming up with a list of why I'm ready to make 125,000 and start listing everything. I like to call it 25 reasons why. This is so helpful for my clients to see who they are, remind them of their value. I recommend you do this too. It is a powerful, powerful exercise. 25 reasons why. Start with run. As you all are watching this, I want to see everybody put one reason in the comment that you are ready for a six-figure role and beyond. And that reason could be, I just believe it. I just want it. I put in my dues. I work hard. The reason can be whatever you want. But when now you have a list of 25, and trust me, you can get out the first 10. When you start getting 11, 12, number 15, number 24, it gets a little more difficult. You're forcing your brain to think like, okay, what did I do last year? What did I do 5 years ago? Ask a friend if you need to. It is a powerful, powerful exercise to remind you of who you are, what you've done, and really hone in on you knowing and understanding your value. Your value. Okay. And then finally, you all know I have to talk about personal branding. You have to build your personal brand inside the company and outside the company. If you have a toxic boss, and sometimes people think like, my boss doesn't like me, my boss is intimidated by me. Guess what? Your boss does not control your promotion and they do not control your income. If they do, it's only because you gave them that control. You could take it back at any moment. I started building relationships over top of my boss's head. I had an extremely toxic boss. Y'all, you wonder how I know this so much. It's not just because I've worked with so many women and hundreds of women to help them. It's because I have been through this myself. My toxic boss, she would go days, even sometimes weeks without speaking to me. It got so bad that we used to have weekly meetings with HR between her and I. That's how bad it was. And then she would just come in my office and start talking like, hey, this is what I did over the weekend. And just toxic, just crazy, right? She would like saying like terrible things about me. And the thing is, everybody knew who she was. And she eventually got asked to leave the company. But she did so much damage in this position because she was in a leadership position. But my saving grace was that I built my brand beyond her. People knew that Latrice was a great worker. Latrice was strategic. I was very friendly. I was getting the job done, right? So they knew that. So then when there was an opening in HR, this is how I transitioned to HR. I built up my brand. It didn't matter about my boss that she was something special. Right? She was something special. It didn't matter. It didn't even matter what was going on. And you got to think, she must have been something because we had these weekly meetings with HR and I still got hired in HR. Like they were aware of who she was, the type of person and employee that she was, and who I was because I had built up my brand. And so I was able to not just get in that role, I got promoted. So I got promoted into another role, making more money, even though I was in a toxic environment, even though I had a boss that didn't like me. So when I say these things, when I make these posts, I don't want you all to think like Latrice doesn't know what she's talking about. I have been there. I've been there. So this is why it is so important to network, build your brand, share the accomplishments. What's that unique special thing about you? What's the problem that you solve? You should be building your network inside your company and outside. If you're not posting on LinkedIn at least just once a month, you don't have to post every week. You ain't got to post every day like me. But you should be sharing something, some sort of accomplishment, different thought process, an article, a tip, anything at least once a month. At least once a month, whether you're looking for a job or not, at least once a month, especially when you want to make six figures and beyond. All right, you got to be building your brand beyond your boss. Okay, you just have to. All right. As we're doing this, any questions that are coming up, let me know, you guys. If you are like Latrice, we are loving this and you want to know more about the Fearless Branding Formula, go to the sixfigurepromotion.com. I want to say that link is also, I think it's in the comments or in the show notes. Go ahead to sixfigurepromotion.com. You can learn more about the Fearless Branding Formula. And then also recently, I just did a 3-part series on securing the bag beyond six figures as a woman of color. One of the best things I've done. I will say I had people in my inbox like Latrice. This series was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. We talked about the mindset of a six-figure earner. The second day we talked about like attracting six-figure opportunities. And then day 3, we really went deep and talked about building your business with your personal brand. And I shared like how I built my business using my personal brand and how I took my business to six figures and beyond in 7 months, right? So if you're interested in that free workshop, just put branding in the comments and we will get that out to you all. Let me see. I want to make sure. All right. Yeah, put branding in the comments and we'll go ahead and get that out to you all. I am so excited. I will see you all tomorrow. And then if you have any ideas or any comments for other topics, put them in the comments or you can DM me as well. You all have a good night. Bye.